So obviously this week there was no adjustment in interest rates. Hey Wendy, hey Zach, hey to everyone, hey to everyone. There was no adjustment in interest rates. The Reserve Bank held rates the same. They're meeting again soon. Obviously, most people, including the pundits and including experts, the banks were surprised because they were anticipating that rates would actually go down, but they haven't. But if I had to give you an overall summary on real estate in Australia, here's where it's at. Perth keeps going gangbusters because as a price point compared mainly to Sydney and Melbourne, it still is really attractive. And the reason why is, do you know, like for nearly 15 years, nothing happened in Perth with prices, pretty much since 2008, right? So all they're doing is playing catch up with the rest of Australia. Hey, John, hi to everyone. So that's the story with Perth. Adelaide is also going gangbusters. Why? Pretty much similar, but not exactly, but similar reasons to Perth. Hasn't really done much for a long period of time since '08. Was doing a little bit better in growth than Perth, but COVID made Adelaide a suburb where people thought that's amazing value. So that's Perth and Adelaide. Then you've got Brisbane. Brisbane is probably still the standout market for me. And the reason why is that I think that it'll keep going because of the infrastructure and the Olympic Games effect. So Olympic Games are interesting when you look at case studies on what happens to a city when Olympic Games are announced, when they're held, and what happens after the Olympic Games are finished. And it's really, really clear that it is ultimately a big, big plus for a city. And the reason why is that that city ends up having infrastructure put in place that can be long standing. So what happens is the people that live there benefit from the infrastructure. So where has Olympic Games been a negative? I'll tell you where it is. It's not before the games, it's not at the games, but after the games. And we've seen that in various parts of Sydney around the Olympic Village. When you build an oversupply of properties and you've got an undersupply of infrastructure, you will see prices stagnate in those Olympic cities, or you'll actually see them come down around that Olympic Village. You saw what's happened with units there. In fact, many of the banks still have a big black mark on certain suburbs around that area. So that's been the benefit of Brisbane. Sydney and Melbourne, right, are then put in the same bucket because they have been the two cities that over the decades have far exceeded the rest of Australia in capital growth, Sydney more than Melbourne. However, what we are now seeing is even Sydney and Melbourne, who were stagnating behind, they're showing good signs of life. And I would assume that that's been mainly because of the interest rates. I would assume so. So I get asked a lot of the times, what would I buy? What would I buy? Where would I buy? Well, and even though I've given you this summary of around Australia, all I've got to say to you is I would still be picking Sydney and Melbourne. And the reason why is the overseas migration is coming to those two parts. And they are going to be one of the biggest sources of growth to real estate. And what would I actually buy? What would I actually buy in those suburbs, in those cities? I would buy something that's an old house with a big block near transport services like a train station. That's what I would be doing. They're not building land as they build units. Number one. Number two, when you buy land, you have upside and opportunities to get best use of the land. I don't know. Build a duplex, a triplex, subdivide the land, build a granny flat, knock it down, and build a new house. You have a lot of upside possibilities. So that's what I would be doing. I would be getting myself a nice block of land, the bigger, the better, near a train station, even if it is out west, out further afar in an area that you don't want to buy. And I've got to tell you, if you're a first home buyer, you don't have to love your first home. What I thought I'd do is just give you a bit of a swing around on where I am. I'm in a place called Thessaloniki. And what I might do just for a moment is swing my phone around just to show you. So this is where we are, right? This is the second largest city in Greece. After Athens, this building is called Rotunda. And I'll just step back a bit and just show it up here for you. This is called Rotunda. It was a famous, well, look, over the years, it's actually, before I came on, I quickly just read up on it on ChatGPT. You know, one of the great things about ChatGPT is you can actually shine your phone to items, you know, buildings. I haven't done it on people yet. I want to see whether that works. And it tells you the history of what it's about. And this is called Rotunda. It was used as a museum. It was used as a church. It was used as a mosque. It's actually quite famous. But what I want to do is just swing back around here. So I'm going to just finish off on this. I've got to say to you that the reason I'm in Thessaloniki is this is the stop that is heading in the direction I need to go, which is Mount Athos. It is a remote part of Greece. It's about 2 hours from Thessaloniki, and it's got 20 monasteries on there. Invitation only, male only. It's a spiritual retreat. Many of you might know of it because in the last 1 or 2 weeks, Mel Gibson had given it a little bit of profile on social media because he went over there for a spiritual recharge pit stop for a week. I did it in 2016, and I've come back here. It's absolute silence for the whatever I stay. I think I'm going to be staying there for about a week. And all I've got to say to you is that my intention and my plan is to actually stop the brain thinking, meditate, think about the higher being, get close to God, and come back, hopefully thinking clearer, because with clearer thinking, you take better actions, and with better action, signing off.